In a world where loyalty is the ultimate currency, one man's journey from the pinnacle of power to the depths of disgrace shatters everything we thought we knew about loyalty. David "Lil Dave" Santillan, once the powerful president of the 1,500-strong Mongols Motorcycle Club, now walks a lonely road. But how did a man who led one of America's most notorious motorcycle clubs for 13 years fall so far?
And I was the national pres for close to 13 years, a member for 25 years. And what they did to me was just done, I was done dirty, like straight the fuck up. No paperwork, a stupid ass video, but it is what it is, man.
The tale twists through dark alleys of crime, courtroom dramas, and whispered accusations. It's a story where a single phone call can destroy a life, and where the line between friend and foe blurs like highway lines. Lil Dave stood at the helm of an empire that stretched across 20 states. But beneath the thunder of chrome and pistons, secrets lurked. A $500,000 fine, a government informant, a betrayed wife. Each thread weaves into a tapestry of intrigue that will leave you questioning everything you thought you knew about loyalty in the biker world.
You told me already. I have 1 year. 1 year. He's retiring. He's retiring. After 1 year, he's done. And he can protect me. He told me. So we have to have an exit strategy.
Annie then sent this text message to other Mongols saying her husband is a confidential informant. Quote, in other words, he's a rat.
Have you ever felt alone? David Santillan has. Growing up in Los Angeles wasn't easy. Clubs were everywhere, and surviving often meant joining one.
I was riding bikes. I've ridden dirt bikes and Jap bikes pretty much all my teens into my early 20s. And I got my first Harley in 1992 or 3. And I started riding around with some dudes from the neighborhood. And we went to this function in Paramount Studios, the biker function. And I ran into an old friend, grew up in the neighborhood in El Sereno, Giovanni. He was part of the Mongols Motorcycle Club, East LA chapter. And we started kicking it off from there and started hanging out, and the rest is history as far as, coming into the club.
But David found a different kind of family.
I came in as a probationary member to East LA chapter in October 23rd, 1997.
In 1997, at the young age of 23, he joined the Mongols Motorcycle Club.
I was handed my patch October 23rd, 1997.
The Mongols weren't just any motorcycle club. Founded in 1969 in Montebello, California, they quickly became known as one of the toughest outlaw motorcycle clubs around. They were a group of mostly Hispanic riders who loved the open road and lived by their own rules.
The Mongols had a bad reputation on the streets. Go to one of their parties, they'll try to steal your bike, try to fuck your old lady. It was scandalous the way it was. It got a really bad reputation on the streets.
David, now known as Lil Dave, found more than just a hobby in the Mongols.
I just wanted to drink, party, and have a good time. Work my 9 to 5 and do what I have to do to stay alive.
The roar of motorcycle engines, the thrill of the ride, and the unbreakable bond between brothers filled a void in his life he didn't even know existed.
Just the brotherhood, the camaraderie, growing up in the streets, not from the neighborhood, not politicking, just growing up in the streets and just seeing, being in the motorcycle arena, dirt bikes and Jap bikes, and then graduating to Harley Davidson in 93. So that's what kind of gave me incentive. I've always rode bikes. It's just I changed the class of bike I was riding one of Harleys. It just was a better fit for me.
But this new family came with secrets, dark ones. The Mongols weren't just about riding motorcycles. They had a reputation for trouble, often clashing with rival clubs like the Hells Angels. Law enforcement kept a close eye on them, suspecting involvement in various illegal activities, including drug trafficking and extortion. For Lil Dave, none of that mattered at first. He was part of something bigger than himself. The Mongols offered him protection, respect, and a chance to prove himself.
It was something that I wanted to do, It was intriguing. It was the outlaw motorcycle scene. It caught my attention. And I loved that brotherhood, that camaraderie. It was just really cool to belong to an organization like that.
But would Lil Dave get caught up in the club's darker side? As he put on his leather vest with the Mongol patch, little did he know the wild ride that lay ahead. The road stretched out before him, full of promise and danger. Lil Dave revved his engine, ready to embrace his new life. What adventures and challenges would he face? Only time would tell.
So we started there, and a couple of things happened along the way, and there was some raids that happened during the Billy Queen thing, the undercover sting through ATF, and some guys went to jail and fighting their cases. So we ended up going into Mother Chapter, and before I went to prison, I was Mother Chapter with, you know, a bunch of the guys that are either retired or in prison right now, and that got my first look on how really the whole substructure of the club operates.
Lil Dave wasn't just any Mongol. From the start, it was clear he was special. He worked hard, proved himself in every way, and quickly climbed the ranks. His loyalty was unquestionable, his toughness respected, and his leadership skills obvious to all.
I've always played a leadership role in this club. Mm-hmm. I've always led some type of charge on maybe lower levels, chapter presidents, chapter VPs, kicking off new chapters in the Southern California area. And it really helped groom me for who the man I am today. Plus, I had the best teacher in the game, was Bobby Loco.
10 years passed in a blur of rumbling engines and highway miles. Can you guess what happened next? In 2008, Lil Dave achieved the unthinkable. He became the boss, the president of the Mongols Motorcycle Club.
I inherited a shitstorm after the 2008 raids. Ruben Doc Cavazos was running this club into the ground, and somebody had to save it. Unfortunately, the person who took the reins after Doc caught an indictment after, and he was part of the 2008 raids. And just like any organization, it's protocol, and everybody stepped up, and we had a new VP that was the president's Largo's right-hand man, and he stepped up, and he asked me to come on board to help as Sergeant at Arms, National Sergeant at Arms for the club. And then 9 months later, we had elections in Baldwin Park, California, and they nominated me to be the new international chapter president.
It was a position of great power and even greater responsibility. Under Lil Dave's leadership, the Mongols grew stronger than ever. By the time he took over, the club had expanded to over 1,000 members, with chapters spreading across the United States and even internationally.
But some of the positives Dave did really soon because of Black Rain and that stuff was that everyone had to have visible means of income. He didn't want anyone dealing drugs. You had to show that you have full-time employment because, you know, if this guy's out here doing something illegal and you're not, it affects everybody. So he cleaned that up. He also made everyone mandatory. Everyone had to be on motorcycles. And then he started bringing back monthly motorcycle rides, runs, and he really started bringing the structure back to the club, but he really made it focused more on motorcycle.
The club was now a major player in the outlaw motorcycle world. But being the boss of an outlaw motorcycle club isn't easy, is it? Lil Dave faced challenges from all sides. Rival clubs like the Hells Angels were always looking for a chance to strike. Law enforcement agencies, particularly the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives, ATF, kept a watchful eye on the club's activities, suspecting them of various crimes. There was even a time when Lil Dave was in prison.
I fell in '99. I did my prison term. I took a plea deal and I got a year and a day.
Inside the club, Lil Dave had to maintain order and resolve conflicts between members. It was a delicate balance of showing strength and keeping everyone united. He had to make tough decisions, sometimes putting the club's interests above personal friendships. Despite the challenges, Lil Dave thrived in his role. He was respected and feared, both within the club and in the larger motorcycle club's community.
So I was always facilitating and helping out within the club. It was just me. It was just, I was new, I was hungry, I was pragmatic. and I just wanted to do something for the club and, you know, give it 100%, 110%.
His word was law among the Mongols, and his reputation grew with each passing year. But power often comes at a price. As Lil Dave sat at the head of the table during club meetings, did he ever wonder about the cost of his position? Did he ever question the path he had chosen? The road ahead was long and full of unexpected turns. Fast forward to 2018. Big problems were brewing for the Mongols, and Lil Dave was right in the middle of it all. The government had been watching the club for years, and now they were making their move.
It's been all good from there, rocking and rolling, but the mess that we inherited took us to 13 years of open pending litigation with the federal government. And it's been an uphill battle.
A major trial began with charges that could destroy the Mongols forever: racketeering, conspiracy. These were big words that meant big trouble. The government said the Mongols weren't just a motorcycle club, but a criminal organization involved in all sorts of illegal activities.
October 30th, 2018. And that's when the trial started. Now, you got to remember, they were trying 10 acts of either hand-to-hand buys with undercover agents. They were trying 3 murders, and a bunch of other dope cases and some assaults, some stabbings. So it was 10 acts that they were retrying.
They wanted to prove it in court and shut down the club for good. Lil Dave led the defense. On the surface, he seemed confident, rallying the Mongols and their lawyers, especially Joseph A. Yanni, to fight the charges. But something was off. There were whispers of secret meetings, of a special relationship between Lil Dave and an ATF agent named John Ciccone. Who was Ciccone? He was the lead agent on the case against the Mongols, a man who had been investigating the club for decades.
We built this relationship, this rapport. I'm not fucking exchanging information. I'm being above board. I'm not being shady in any way, shape, or form, okay?
Lil Dave said they had a rapport. But what did that really mean? Some Mongols started to wonder if their president was too friendly with the enemy. The trial was long and difficult. In late 2018, the Mongols lost.
We were convicted of 2 counts of RICO. One was a conspiracy of RICO, one was a RICO act. So, you know, it was easily convictable.
The club was convicted of racketeering and conspiracy, hit with a huge fine of $500,000. The government even tried to force the Mongols to forfeit their trademarked logo, a drawing of a brawny Genghis Khan-like figure riding a motorcycle. It was a devastating blow.
It's just been a struggle to save our club name, our patch, our trademarks, if you will. And I've done everything for this club to save our reputation and to save our identity. The government's been trying to steal our identity for 13 years. I mean,
What exactly are they trying to do with that?
It's basically silence the club by removing our patches, like to steal our patches, our identity.
Like copyright it, say it's theirs?
No, they had an injunction on us for the first couple of years, and it basically silenced the club. And, you know, we did everything in our power to still be out there, to still be riding, flying the flag, if you will. And at that point, you know, going up against the federal government, it's a David and Goliath fight.
But the worst was yet to come. Questions started to circulate. Had Lil Dave really done everything he could to defend the club? Some members thought he had prevented their lawyer from calling Ciccone to the stand. Why would he do that? Suspicion grew like a dark cloud over Lil Dave's presidency. The wind was changing. Could you feel it? The once unquestioned leader of the Mongols was now under scrutiny from his own brothers. As Lil Dave rode his motorcycle down the highway, did he sense the storm that was coming? The road ahead was about to get very rough indeed. It was 2021 now, and Lil Dave's world was crumbling around him. After 13 years as the president of the Mongols, his reign was about to come to a sudden and shocking end. But the betrayal didn't come from his brothers in the club. It came from much closer to home. Lil Dave's wife, Annie, was mad. Really mad. Why? Lil Dave had made some terrible choices. He cheated on Annie, breaking her trust. He had been drinking too much, spiraling out of control. Their marriage was falling apart, and Annie had had enough.
It was my wife, Annie. We were having a husband and wife talk. I was inebriated. It was evident from the video. I was not only inebriated, I was fucking homeless.
Is that a fancy word for you were fucked up?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I'm just trying to, just trying to articulate myself. Yeah, I was fucked up. And I'd been on a bender. I was not keeping it together. I was vulnerable as a man. That's hard to say, but fuck it.
In June 2021, when Lil Dave was drunk and emotional, Annie recorded a phone call with him. It was a decision that would change everything. In the call, Lil Dave said something he shouldn't have. He talked about John Ciccone, the ATF agent, saying Ciccone told him he had 1 year and can't protect me after that.
John told me already. I have 1 year. 1 year. He's retiring. He's retiring. After 1 year, he's done. And he can't protect me. He told me. So we have to have an exit strategy.
What did he mean by that? Annie, hurt and angry, made a fateful choice. She sent the video to other members of the Mongols. But she didn't stop there. In a text message, she called Lil Dave a rat and said he had been working with the government all along.
Annie then sent this text message to other Mongols saying her husband is a confidential informant, quote, in other words, he's a rat.
In the world of outlaw motorcycle clubs, there's no worse accusation. The Mongols were furious. A traitor as their president? It was unthinkable. They held a closed-door meeting, and Lil Dave wasn't even given a chance to defend himself.
Joe Yanni saw it as a way to monetize on my issue, my marital issue. And he went to the court he went to the club, and the club was in a vulnerable state. I was not there present during this sit down with Joe. And obviously Joe Yanni had an axe to grind with me because number one, he lost that case fair and square. He was never prepared any day of the week on that case. The government brought their A game like they had been preparing this case for 13 years, which they were.
Just like that, they kicked him out of the club in July 2021. 13 years as president, gone in a flash. Lil Dave's whole identity was wrapped up in being a Mongol. Now he had lost everything. His leadership, his brothers, his reputation, all destroyed. As he handed over his patch and walked away from the clubhouse for the last time, what was going through his mind? The road ahead looked dark and lonely. Lil Dave wasn't going down without a fight. He said it wasn't true. He swore he was never a rat, never betrayed the Mongols.
I believe so. The relationship was just a cordial and respectful relationship, just to keep the peace between us and the club.
But who would believe him now? His reputation was in tatters, his words doubted by the very people who once followed him without question.
Absolutely not. Unequivocally no. I've never cooperated in any way, shape, or form.
Meanwhile, the Mongols smelled blood in the water. They wanted a new trial for their racketeering conviction. Their plan? Blame everything on Lil Dave.
40 years ago, an Orange County biker gang was convicted on a pair of federal charges, but now it claimed the head of the group was actually a federal informant, which could lead to a new trial.
They claimed he sabotaged their defense during the trial, working with the government behind their backs.
There's a new twist in a federal case already marked by murder and mayhem. The Mongols Motorcycle Club wants a new trial and says its former leader, David Santillan, was secretly acting as a confidential informant for the ATF.
Was it true, or just a convenient excuse? A big court hearing began. Judge David O. Carter was in charge, and he was determined to get to the bottom of things. Lil Dave took the stand to testify. So did Annie, who now said she'd lied about Lil Dave being an informant. She claimed she only said those things to hurt him because she was angry about his cheating.
But Annie testified this week she only did it to get back at her husband for cheating.
Other witnesses came forward too. Stephen Stubbs, one of the lawyers who defended the Mongols, said Lil Dave told him he was meeting with Ciccone every day during the trial.
ATF Supervisory Special Agent Susan Rachel all testified that it is not true that you were a confidential informant. Montebello Police Officer Sergeant Omar Rodriguez, Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department Ivana Farias, the Long Beach Police Department Sergeant Jared Lewis also testified that they conducted thorough searches and there are absolutely no records of any agreements with Lil Dave. FBI Special Agent Joey Talamontes testified as well and said that you were not an unidentified co-conspirator number 38, as Joe Yanni tried to throw out there. You were not an unidentified co-conspirator number 39.
We have an open communication, him and I. It's a respect thing.
Yanni played a clip from a National Geographic show segment on the Mongols in court as evidence of their relationship. Ciccone says whenever he worked a Mongols event and there was the potential for problems or violence, he would go to David because he's the president of the Mongols and can convey the message to his members. He says their communication was for public safety and showed the Mongols that there was ATF presence at their events.
But Lil Dave denied this, calling it an absolute lie. What really happened? Who was telling the truth? The judge had to sort through all the claims and counterclaims, trying to separate fact from fiction. The stakes were high. If Lil Dave really did work with the government, it could mean a new trial for the Mongols. As the hearing went on, Lil Dave fought for his reputation. He insisted he never cooperated with law enforcement, never betrayed his brothers.
Eyewitness News asked Santillan what he meant in that video about ATF agent Ciccone protecting him. Santillan says he and Ciccone had a rapport after 25 years of dealing with one another, and Ciccone told Santillan he was retiring.
He goes, I know you've been doing a bang-up job with the club. Can't protect you from this point forward. I know we've had a rapport, and I always looked out for you, and you were always respectful. So he gave me a heads up, and that was it.
But years of suspicion and the damaging video made his claims hard to believe. Could he clear his name? Or was his outlaw motorcycle club's life over for good? The motorcycle world watched and waited. Lil Dave's story had become a legend, a cautionary tale about the thin line between loyalty and betrayal in the world of outlaw motorcycle clubs. In the end, Judge Carter made his decision. No new trial for the Mongols. The judge didn't find enough evidence that Lil Dave was a government informant. But it wasn't a complete victory for Lil Dave either. The suspicions remained, his reputation still tarnished. Lil Dave was a man without a club now. The Mongols, the family he led for 13 years, wanted nothing to do with him. The motorcycle world he once ruled now viewed him with suspicion and scorn.
And I was the national press for close to 13 years, a member for 25 years. And what they did to me was just done, I was done dirty, like straight the fuck up. No paperwork, a stupid ass video, but it is what it is, man.
What was next for a former outlaw motorcycle club president?
Now, the first question that is everybody's mind, are you in or are you at the club? Are you a Mongol?
So I'm gonna play devil's advocate on this,
right, sure.
And I'm a Mongol till I die. I have it blasted all over me. I have it everywhere. I have a full patch on my back. Then nobody can ever take that away from me. Guarantee you this.
He tried to rebuild his life piece by piece. In 2022, Lil Dave got a job as a mechanic, using his skills with motorcycles in a different way. He moved to a modest apartment in a less populated area of Los Angeles, trying to escape the chaos of his past life. Annie, despite everything, forgave him. They went to therapy together, working to repair their broken relationship. It was a long, hard road, but they were committed to making it work.
I got my own little crew I'm hanging out with, family mostly, but my own little crew run around with, and
I'm just in a good place right now, man. I'm not worried about anybody coming at me. You know, I'm not trying to act like a tough guy. I'm just doing me right now and just living my best life, man. I'm really grounded and focused. I'm back at the gym. My hand's still a little fucked up, but I'm doing good. I feel good.
But the past wouldn't let go so easily. People still whispered when Lil Dave walked by. Former friends crossed the street to avoid him. The story of his fall from grace had become a legend in the motorcycle club's world, a warning about the dangers of power and the price of suspected betrayal. The Mongols, meanwhile, continued to ride. As of 2023, they still had about 1,500 members, with chapters in over 20 states. The club had survived, moving on without Lil Dave, but his shadow still loomed large over their history. As for Lil Dave, the road stretched out before him, uncertain and full of challenges. He wasn't the president of a powerful motorcycle club anymore. He was just a man trying to find his way in a world that had changed around him. Where would this new road take him? Only time would tell. The story of Lil Dave served as a reminder of the complexities of loyalty, power, and redemption. In the world of outlaw motorcycle clubs, the stakes were high, the bonds of brotherhood were strong, and the consequences of betrayal, real or perceived, could last a lifetime.